Cabrera officially now is in spot to have the Triple Crown. He has everything he needs, and he needs to hold on to it for 2 more games. He goes 4 for 5 last night, hits a home run. So that gives him his personal lead for the home runs, puts him 1 above Josh Hamilton.
44 now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Going 4 for 5 against yesterday helps knock up that batting average, which was one thing that...
it was 325. I think he's up to 327.
329.
329.
He's up on Mike Trout by .004 in batting average right now. So you got, and then he leads Hamilton by 10 in RBIs. So like we agreed already on the fact, RBIs he pretty much has locked in. You got to figure 10 RBIs in 2 games.
He's just got to avoid going 0 for 4 the next 2 nights.
That's and 0 for 8 would kill that batting average because you figure Trout is going to still be
He's going to have to get at least a hit a night. If he goes 1 for 4 each night, and if he gets squeezed 1 more homer in, he's going to have it locked up.
Which would be the first time we've seen this since 1967. So I was talking with Joe yesterday, and he even throws that into the chat room as well about the AL MVP. And he threw out the thought that he thinks that Adam Jones should be somebody in consideration for the AL MVP. And I was curious to know what you thought about that, because obviously my baseball knowledge is very limited, so I can't sit here and rep for Adam Jones.
I really
and not
see it
go
as a
against him.
2-horse race, though.
You still Trout and Cabrera.
It's got to be. I mean, if you look at Trout's numbers, like I was saying yesterday, he had another stolen base. He's got 49 stolen bases, 30 home runs. He hit another triple. I mean, is there a chance you can pull up his numbers for triples? He has to lead the league in triples.
I can get you Mike Trout's stats in 1
by
minute.
far leading the league in triples, I got to say.
Let's see. He has 8 triples.
8 triples. Who else has 8 triples?
That I don't know. That I got to go back.
You know, he does everything you can ask him to do. He's leading the league in runs scored by 20 runs scored. Now, granted, he doesn't quite have the RBIs that Cabrera has, but in the same respect, he's played a month less time.
Yeah, I've got the triples list in front of me right now. He's tied with 4 or 5 other guys with 8 triples. Then you got 2 guys with 9 triples, 4 guys with 10 triples, 2 with 11, 1 with 12, and 1 with 15.
Okay. So I was a little off with him leading the league in that category. But I think if he would add that extra month in the season, he definitely could have. Like I said, he's got 49 stolen bases right now. He's played unbelievably. He's second in the AL in batting average. And the guy's a rookie. It's his first year in the big leagues. The kid's 20 years old.
Is he comfortable playing this game or what?
20, but I'm saying 20 years old. As far as Adam Jones goes, listen, he might have had a fine season and all, and he might be up there in some statistical categories as well. But he didn't have the impact that Cabrera had or that Trout had on the season. Just didn't. Now, granted, the Orioles are in the playoffs and the Angels aren't, but that's part of the reason that I'm not going to give it Trout the MVP. I think the MVP is going to end up going to Cabrera.
I love Pixel Junkie. Shout out to Pixel Junkie in our chat room. Points out the concept of, may I see a urine test from both of them? And look, you know what's...
see, that's unfair. That's unfair to say. These guys do get tested now. The guys that get caught, get caught. You can't just sit here. Listen, baseball's one of these sports where everybody was doing it. There wasn't necessarily an unfair advantage for one person over another. It just kind of helped everybody get better. There were so many guys. I mean, if you go back 8 years, how many guys were hitting 50 home runs? 60 home runs. There were like 5 or 6 guys who had 60 home runs.
Yeah.
It's insane. Boston used to have Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz both over 50.
Yeah.
Now the leader of the AL has 44 home runs.
And
44.
It's not like guys are rolling around. There's many guys in the 40 category.
No, there aren't.
I'm looking at the top home run hitters right now, AL and NL. There's only one home run hitter in the NL with over 40, and that's Ryan Braun at 41. And then your top five in the AL all are over 40. But that's it. You got Granderson, Dunn, Encarnacion, Hamilton, and Cabrera. So it's not like
You probably would have had Bautista there too if he would have stayed healthy.
probably
Maybe 6 guys hit 40, but none of those guys are even close to hitting 50. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to go, oh, well, you got to steroid test these guys because they had such a great season. Listen, we saw what happened. Miguel Cabrera, having a great season, got tested, got caught. Served a suspension, not playing in the playoffs, really hurt his ball club and hurt himself. I think guys have seen the repercussions and don't necessarily want to go down that road anymore.
Yeah, I just think I don't think it's unfair to assume though either. It's just that simple. I don't think it's unfair to assume.
I don't think any guy out there that has a great year though, you should be like, oh my God, nobody drug tested him all year. I just think it's an unfair assumption by Pixel that everybody out there is still doing steroids. This isn't 10 years ago. And even before that, baseball's always had its problems. In the 80s, it was amphetamines. It was boosters. It was, getting your adrenaline pumping. Those guys were doing that before they were doing steroids. But everybody's always been trying to get an edge.
Of course.
Since about the late 70s and on, everybody's been trying to get an edge in some way. The one thing I love is that, years ago when Bonds was hitting all these home runs and, in the big steroid era and they had all the signs out there at Giants Stadium, the one sign that really stuck out to me is that, they say Babe Ruth did it on cigars, beers, and hot dogs. Would you do it on?
Yeah.
He didn't need, he did things to hurt himself back in those days. Even Mickey Mantle, he was a known drunk. I mean, the guy drank his face off. He really did.
Yeah.
He didn't do things to help his career.
No.
They only did things back then to hurt their career.
And that just shows you how good these guys really were.
It wasn't until really the 80s came around, and like I said, with the amphetamines, and then from there built into the steroids, and then we're trying to clean up all that nonsense.
Yeah, they're trying, but I think it's fair to say that it's not far-fetched to assume that a large majority of baseball players are still doing things they shouldn't be doing.
No, I disagree. I think that they've seen the repercussions. It's not worth it to do. I mean, it's evident in the numbers that you're seeing. That's the biggest thing that I can say to make my case is look at the numbers. If you look at the pitching numbers from now and the pitching numbers from 10 years ago, the pitching numbers now are better pitching numbers. It's going back to that sway of it being a pitcher's error. Also, the swings. Guys aren't hitting the ball as far. They aren't hitting as many runs. They aren't hitting as many home runs. You just look at the numbers. The numbers tell the tale.